to the United Women in Faith. I was thinking about how years ago we used to meet in this room around tables, and then we would have brunch or lunch, or we would gather. And then COVID came, and we started meeting by Zoom, but not very often, and a lot of people couldn't come because of technology. And then we started meeting in the sanctuary and live streaming it. And we social distance and we wore masks. And here we are again, we're in Wesley Hall because the sanctuary is under construction. So I was just thinking how persistent we are at gathering together. And we're flexible. And it's really good to be here in person and online. I welcome everyone. And we always start with the purpose, and we actually printed up the purpose. Someone want to pass these out? So we can say it all together. Okay. The organized unit of United Women in Faith should be a community of women whose purpose is to know God and to experience freedom as whole persons through Jesus Christ, to develop a creative, supportive fellowship, and to expand concepts of mission through participation in the global ministries of the church. And Suzanne, you have a devotion?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Good morning. This is a combination of thoughts from the book of James, chapters 1 and 3. I'm not reading them all, by the way, all the verses, and from a small prayer card that I had received. And they just kind of spoke to me all as one. Think on these things. From James chapter 1, my dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God deserves. Those who consider themselves religious and yet do not keep a tight rein on their tongues deceive themselves, and their religion is worthless. And from the 3rd chapter of James, but the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. Peacemakers who sow in peace reap a harvest of righteousness. And from a prayer card that I have, dear Lord, keep me from becoming talkative and possessed with the idea that I must express myself on every subject. Release me from the craving to straighten out everyone's affairs. Give me wings to get to the point. Teach me the glorious lessons that occasionally I may be wrong. Make me thoughtful but not nosy, helpful but not bossy. And from the 3rd chapter of James, who is wise and understanding among you? Let them show it by their good life and by deeds done in the humility that comes from wisdom. And all God's children said, Amen.
So in this past summer, maybe a couple of months ago, 3 of us went to the Mission U program at the Lake Huron Retreat Center. And the program's title was Who Can We Be Together? We did have to end early because of the water main break up on M22 somewhere, and the health department shut us down. But Maggie and Connie and I are going to talk about one of the chapters that we covered at this retreat. And Maggie's going to start. Want to come up?
Hi, everybody. Okay, the introduction to this section. We have survived so much as a world: global health crises, environmental exploitation, colonization, racialized violence, gender violence, war, famine, and poverty. Even more, so many have not survived. Communities emerge as our response to crises such as this. What does God say about creating spaces of care? About community building? About shifting boundaries and norms? And how can this be done when the entire world seems to be on fire? This series endeavored to provide a foundation for participants to develop a stronger capacity for biblical literacy and develop a personal and collective curiosity about faith through an anti-oppression lens. Luke 13 is a chapter full of rich imagery, compelling parables, and convicting directives from Jesus, the teacher, spiritual leader, and organizer. Luke 13 depicts a Jesus who is often frustrated, concerned, even snarky. He has a warranted and righteous rage aimed at the institutions of the day. For followers of Christ 2,000 years later, it's important for us to sit with the range of emotion we have in response to these words. It is not easy to build and sustain communities, especially when there are forces that drain us, exhaust us, and even push us to act uncharacteristically. And yet we are called to act on the most ethical principles of our faith so we can witness the kingdom of God on earth. And kingdom throughout this series was used in place of the word traditional kingdom. So it was kingdom, Kindom. This series reminded me that one person can be effective in making some changes in this world, but it takes shared efforts of community building to really change society for the better. As a slight example, I have an infection. I try to take care of it by myself, but it doesn't go away. In order to cure it, I need to find a space of care, a community of at least 2 people, my doctor and myself, and of course all his nurses and assistants and everyone else who needs to work to do their part of the job. Community building at its best can save the world. As you'll hear, parables teach us that something as small as a mustard seed can have large effect. It creates many advantages. It breaks open and communicates with the soil and produces great abundance.
Okay, thank you, Maggie. So it's let me find my place here. It's very short, the scripture reading from Luke 13, verses 18 and 19. He said, therefore, what is the kingdom of God like? And to what should I compare it? It is like a mustard seed that someone took and sowed in the garden. It grew and became a tree, and the birds of the air made nests in its branches. So we wanted to kind of discuss it a little bit, and go a little deeper. We all know that the main story, something small can get large or make a big difference. But there were some questions we were asked that I wanted to bring up here. And Maggie referred to some of this. The nature of the mustard seed is to germinate, grow into a bush or tree, and to spread, taking over the field. Its branches provide shelter to birds. It is so tiny it is easily spread by the wind, attaching to animals or insects. But there are more players in this parable, such as the sower, the person who plants them. Any other players that you see in this parable? There's the seed. Birds.
The wind.
Wind, yes. The garden, the plant itself that it grows into. So, are there any metaphors you see in the parable, common ones or new ones that you're thinking about that you would share?
You have to have the right climate sometimes, sometimes everything has to line up
Yes,
just right.
yes. The climate, yes, we need, yeah, okay. So, the birds,
The birds can also spread the seeds from the mustard seed tree out from the mustard.
right,
Mustard seed tree.
right,
If you're the sower, you don't know which seed is going to germinate.
yes. So Suzanne said if you're the sower, you don't know which seeds are going to germinate. And Connie said the birds are involved in spreading the seeds. The seeds are made so perfect just for all that. So like they can cling to an insect or the wind or the birds and be spread. But they're quite a toxic plant is what I read. And gardeners necessarily don't want them in their garden because they take over the whole field and they have some toxic qualities, But so another question, what does the seed do? I know these are questions from the book, so.
Well, some of them feed us
Yes, they feed us.
and the birds.
And the birds,
They don't all germinate at the same time.
they don't all germinate at the same time.
You also need water to get those all the
Yeah, that's another player, the water, the whole climate thing, yeah.
You said the mustard seed tree is toxic.
Yeah.
But a lot of times where people who spread things are irritating to other people because they're bringing new ideas.
Oh, that's good. I like that. So she was saying if the seeds are, and there are non-toxic seeds, but if the seeds are toxic,
Oh, it's just a seed. I thought maybe the tree was invasive too.
well, I didn't do a lot of research into the science behind, but she was saying some people, it's just one person can be toxic and affect the others around them.
Well, and I think it could be good and bad. I mean, not necessarily toxic, but if you're bringing new ideas in, that's a good thing. But if you could also do it or you could be toxic to kind of dump on anybody else's new ideas.
True. It can go both ways. It can be, we don't have to be toxic, but what we do it does affect our environment, what's around us. What we plant might not be toxic, but the person it's annoying, like a new idea, like Karen was saying, could feel toxic about the idea.
One thing about the mustard seed, for those that have traveled into the Napa Valley of California, it is absolutely beautiful, it's stunning. And you just wanna take a drive there when the mustard seed is blooming, because the fields are just golden.
You don't have to go to California, I'm seeing it.
Right, but I mean, I'm thinking that there's such beauty in the nature of that mustard seed, it's just gorgeous, and it's amazing to see that year after year after year. It's a rhythm of nature. So there's some beautiful
Yeah,
vision that you get from seeing that.
I did not know that, that
Just
it was a
gorgeous.
beautiful plant. And
Right now, I don't know how this relates, but right now, there's a shortage of mustard in France because the mustard seeds that all grow in central Canada, there was a drought last year, and so
Oh.
they don't have any seeds, and so there's a mustard shortage.
Okay.
Probably everywhere, but specifically France, who loves their mustard, I guess.
Oh, okay.
So they can't make their mustard.
Yeah, did not know there was a mustard shortage, but I don't care for mustard much, so I haven't been looking for it in the store. Now, the next question is, do you think the mustard seed knows what it is doing as part of our ecosystem?
Yes, doesn't one have to believe that?
That it knows?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking, if God created all these things, and how can we not believe that it doesn't?
That the seed doesn't know?
Yeah.
How do
I
we know
just-
that the seed has a mind?
What was that, I'm sorry?
How do we know that the seed has a mind?
I'm not suggesting that it does,
Well, then how can it know?
because that's nature. It's like,
It
how
has-
does the flower know when to bloom?
There's an,
How does anything?
Maybe the word knowing is what's the hang-up here, because it's not an intellectual, it just does.
It does.
Mhm.
You know,
It's
we
just-
do things that are, I do things anyway.
Automatic.
The automatic or a knee-jerk reaction, think, what in the world did I do that for? Or the further results of something that you can't see. If the mustard seed is germinating, it's taking the place of something else, which may or may not want to be squeezed out. And the same thing, I think here with our thoughts and our faith, if we're adding something that we want, we have to pull out something that we don't want. And I don't like change necessarily.
right.
Yeah,
So
it's just,
Yeah.
just like the crocuses that often come up in your beautiful green lawn that a person doesn't want there. Well, why does that happen? Because the birds bring the seeds or they germinate, you know how that works. So, but aren't we all looking for that first crocus in the springtime when you walk? You know, I mean, to me, there's just so many wonderful things that are a part of God's world. And that's why during all this discussion on climate change, et cetera, it's that we, and the Bible tells us, we are the stewards of this world. And it's our responsibility to do our part. So
Yes.
whether it's the mustard seed or the, when it needs, just like the wild stuff we have here that cause problems. We have nature, society conservancies that go and pull those, out. So there's a place and a time for those things, and there must be, maybe for the mustard, I've never heard of that, about them pulling them out, I don't know, I don't know.
Anyone else?
That's one of the wonders in miracles of all of Jesus's parables, is that they can be the jumping off point, the starting point for so many different conversations and inspirations that no matter how many times we hear it, it affects us in a different way because we're a different person than the last time we heard them.
Right, right. I agree with that. I think the parables are a living story, that as we grow and live, that we see new things in it.
You're also talking about it with a different group of people, and different people have different insights that may then react with yours or change yours.
And you can talk about seeds to somebody who you wouldn't say, I'd like to talk to you about my religion, you know?
Yeah,
Well, I'm sorry, this keeps running through my
Yes.
head. Each one of us came from a seed, and there were many more seeds trying to be planted, and we're the only ones that are here.
yeah, I mean,
From that
yeah.
batch, probably, unless you got a twin somewhere, and I don't know about it.
Okay, yeah, we all came from a seed. I wanted to say that at first I said, when we were discussing this, Connie and Maggie and I said, no, they can't possibly know. But I think there's an innate knowing that is being referenced to by some of you that we have as well. Just, maybe it's the spirit, this innateness that leads us to do the good things we do. So maybe the seeds have this innate knowing that they have to germinate. I don't know, but that was a really good discussion. Thank you. We have one more question. At this stage of your life, how do you see yourself? As the sower, the seed, the wind, the plant? We've added the garden and the water. All of the above?
Yeah.
All of the above, depending on the day and the time, the phase of our life. Okay, so now we're actually going to handle mustard seeds. Connie's going to do a demonstration of a couple of different things for us. You need any help? You need help?
No. Oh, well, Bev, you could maybe pass out the mustard seed? If you need more, let me know. Okay, I'm going to begin by reading the parable of the mustard seed. Again, he said, therefore, what is the kingdom of God like, and to what should I compare it? It is like a mustard seed that someone took and sowed in the garden. It grew and became a tree, and the birds of the air made nests in its branches. And there's also, I don't see the next verse, but he talks about yeast also. But we're gonna grow some yeast. Everybody knows how yeast works, but we'll just make a demonstration because it's fun. Need some warm water. A little sugar.
Kind words,
Kind words.
little sugar.
A little yeast. All right, we're going to give that some time to grow. In the meantime, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the mustard seed. And why did Jesus use mustard seeds as an example of how his church will grow? And we were wondering, did they eat mustard seeds back then? And we think they probably did. Of course, the leaves are edible too. You've probably had mustard greens at some point. But what we didn't know is that they're so good for you. The mustard seeds have vitamin C and K, B6, thiamine, riboflavin, folic acid. It's a high percentage of dietary fiber, a possible source of antioxidants. Both seeds and leaves are edible, of course, and they're kidney friendly. If you're having kidney problems, eat some mustard seeds. They also manage the symptoms of asthma, arthritis, and cancer. All right, so what I did was look for some mustard seed recipes, and I made some mustard. What did I made pickled mustard seed. So,
what was that?
pickled mustard seed. Pickled mustard seed. And so we're all going to try some, if you're brave enough.
Oh, my goodness.
So how many mustard seeds did you use?
Oh, I think that was about half a cup of mustard seed.
Really?
Maybe. No,
Oh, my Lord.
wait a minute. It's more like a cup. More like a cup. That wasn't the first recipe I did. I did one recipe, and it was very sour, so I thought, well, I got to try this again. So I tried another one, and this is better. It's still not maybe what you might like, but if you take I think it was a teaspoon a day, you're in good health.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, then we need to know the recipe.
So save your little mustard cups, and then bring them up, and you can have a little spoonful of mustard seed and try it out. You want to do that now? You can bring them back up here, and we'll put them someplace. Put them back in here. What you can do with those little seeds is just feel them so that you can see how small they are, how easily it would be to be carried in the wind and so forth. So, sure, come up and try a little spoonful of mustard seed. Yes. Oh, no, up there. Put it in here.
You gotta try this, Carla.
Yes, I have spoons.
Yeah. Did Don try them?
No,
No?
he said no more stinky experiments for
Oh, gosh.
church.
I can't believe you, where'd you get all this info? Off Google?
Yeah.
Google. Look at her. So put the seeds in here,
Right.
because I don't know what I would do with them. I mean, and now in that, call it what you called it again, a
Pickled mustard seed.
pickled mustard seed.
Yeah.
So would you, sprinkle this on salads or something?
You could put it on salads. You could just eat it as it is.
Look at, oh my gosh, it's soupy.
It thickens up as you cook it.
It does?
Mm-hmm.
Here you go. Hi, Patty.
Lois, you want a spoon? Or you just
Well, I could eat it like in India with my fingers.
Might be sticky.
Oh, you take a spoon from,
right here.
geez, I'm telling you, I can't see, you couldn't see, they're too transparent.
I'm sorry, no. Somebody always said it's just my family, and I heard him, you get mad.
Trying to think of.
Well, there are napkins here too, if anybody wants a napkin.
That's a good idea.
They are mustard seeds, and if you know mustard, they do stain. So be careful with your clothes. They stain.
Oh, yes.
It's mustard. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know it was the seed that must be, but
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it says on the carpet cleaners, do everything except, take out everything except mustard.
Oh, yeah.
Really? Mustard, you don't run on your carpet.
Well, then I'll have to get a mustard yellow carpet. No, it's not my favorite color either.
Right. Connie's from, they're also.
Not bad.
Yeah.
For your husband.
Yeah, well, I'll make him try it when I take it home. What? Yeah, oh, yeah. Oldest ingredients. Okay, mustard seed is one of humankind's oldest ingredients. It goes back about 5,000 years. With the Egyptians who used yeast to make their bread, believing it to be a miracle. A quarter cup of hot water, teaspoon of sugar, and a packet of yeast is all I put in there. And pretty soon it'll bubble up and grow. So that's the end. Maggie, I'll let you close.
Thank you for that, it was good.
The gospel should be so understandable, relatable, and irresistible that it goes viral amongst us. The gospel should be so easy to engage that it travels with us without us having to do much. Are we living in a way that is invitational? Is our witness one that is warm and generative, or is it cold and punitive? Are we scaring people into the faith, or are we inviting people into a more abundant way of life? Of course, traveling well doesn't mean it's always popular. It means that the structural barriers are dissolved. It means that people of all ages, excuse me, I have a mustard seed in my mouth. It means that all spiritual barriers are dissolved. It means that people of all ages, races, genders, geographic locations, sexualities, and abilities can find a delightful place in the community of God's kingdom, which is one that lives within us. People are often drawn to learning when that learning feels worthwhile and relevant. And I'd like to finish with this. This is a quote that Bev gave me. The kingdom of heaven is a living, active presence that is increasing within the realm of human existence.
Thank you, Maggie. I lost my folder. It was like green. So I'll just go from memory. So now is the business part of the meeting. Treasurer, Barb, do you have anything to report? No?
Nothing has changed since the last report.
Okay. And, okay, so, social action, like Carolyn, is there something you wanted to share?
I don't think that I have anything specific. I have resumed my jail ministry, and it's very upsetting to see what COVID has done in the jail, and there have been many reports of hangings lately.
Oh,
People are just, overwhelmed.
yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
Is that because they're not able to go to things like group meetings and
Right.
such like that?
And they're restricted to their cells a lot, rather than gathering and,
Well, that'll do it, Rita.
yes.
Oh,
And you're
sad.
right, there are no church services or things,
Nothing.
to go on, so it's been very difficult.
Well, that's like some facilities, often that happens, if the staff member gets it, then you're eating in your rooms. I have a friend now in Ann Arbor, in a facility, a beautiful one, and they're all in their rooms. And another reason is staff shortage, even if it's not COVID. There's no one to work in the dining room, so they close it, and you eat in your room. This is very hard. So same for the people in the jail.
Okay. Well, we should remember to keep people who are imprisoned in our prayers, certainly. The depression, mental health problems are probably much greater than in the general population. Connie Lawson, do you have anything, like, did we do minutes at our last meeting? Or? Okay. Next time.
I know one of them I missed, and here I'm writing these down.
Okay. And Karen, did you have anything like program resources or anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can come up.
Program resources is the reading program, and I sent out to people who had been attending that to ask, because they need a report for their annual meeting. I don't think anybody completed the program except me. Feel free, even though we aren't meeting together, there's books in, reading program books in the church library, and if you want to have a list of what they are, I can provide that. So feel free to, over the next, basically October to the end of September for next year, consider doing that. You can do that on your own. There's one program, five categories, and you need to read one book in each category. The district annual meeting is coming up on October 8th, and it's from 9 to noon. They're doing it in person at Dearborn First United Methodist Church, and they're also doing it via Zoom, so if you want to attend that way. The speaker is, I do not know. They don't have, more sisters equal more action, apparently, and I don't have the name of the speaker. They need, if you're going to attend in person, the cost is $12. That covers snacks and a continental breakfast. If you're attending via Zoom, the cost is free, but they'll only send out the Zoom invitation to people who are registered. So if you're interested, see me, and I'll either get you registered or send you the information to register yourself. The next Lydia Circle meeting is October 21st. We don't have a program yet, and we haven't decided where we're meeting yet. Anybody's welcome to attend, so pay attention in the next month. Hopefully we'll come up with, yes, ma'am?
Is that still in the evening?
Yes, Friday, October 21st at 7. So we'll have to decide whether we're going to meet in here. It will be after the rummage sale, so we should be able to meet here if we wanted, or in someone's home. As far as the next general meeting, we don't have one set. We often meet close to Christmas, have kind of a Christmas something. I don't know, we haven't had a board meeting yet to maybe come up with that. Does anybody have any input? November 19th would be the Saturday before Thanksgiving, or December 3rd or 10th. Those are the Saturdays. And we could presumably meet here again. Any thoughts?
Yeah, third is good.
Okay.
Is that for the general meeting?
That would be a general meeting. Yeah. Okay. Got that, board people? We'll pick December 3rd, and I'll have to come up with a program. I guess that's all I have.
Does anyone else have something, announcement? Something I forgot to mention? Karen?
I'm gonna resign as the chair of the Lydia Circle, so anybody that is interested in being the Lydia Circle chair,
Okay,
think about that.
just jump right up and approach one of us. You'll be welcomed.
Bev, when they did the Christmas thing last year, I can't recall, did we do a Christmas project? Meaning some meaningful gift to some organization or whatever, I don't know, I don't recall, I just didn't know.
Do you remember, Karen?
Don't think we did.
We could this year, though.
And I wondered about that for this year.
If we're,
It was here, we did the
Upstairs.
Christmas carol thing up in the sanctuary, but I don't remember that we had a
I don't either.
charity that we were collecting for.
Maybe that would be something to think about for the board when they meet.
okay. Yeah, we can do that.
Rob, was that alternatives for girls?
We had a speaker from Alternatives for Girls,
But that wasn't Christmas.
that wasn't Christmas.
Okay. Well, at least I remembered.
She came in April. She came in April and spoke to us, so we wouldn't have collected for them at that point. I don't remember.
Wow, look at that yeast.
Yeah, Connie.
I just saw that.
While we were doing other things.
Oh, wow.
So now, if you're saying those are the seeds that grew,
No, that's.
No, that's, see,
but I mean yeast,
It's the yeast. They kind of lump these two parables together.
but it's made up of the seeds?
No, no mustard
It's
seed.
just yeast and water and sugar.
That is just pure yeast.
Yeah.
Flour, you got red wine.
Why did I keep thinking there was gonna be a plant?
That would be a miracle, yeah. A yeast plant.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of lump these, well, when I was researching them, I noticed they were called the mustard seed and the starter dough parables. So they're in the same chapter of Luke and are often done together.
Isn't that because some small act can have huge impact?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
both of those are the same thing.
Yep. So we have a couple options. Did you want to do that seeing through godly eyes? Do you have,
If you want me to do it, we can do that.
we could end with that. I think that's a really nice devotion. And this came from, some of us went to Scott Memorial Church in Detroit well, Karen and I were on a panel discussing racism, and a few members came, and they handed this out to us as a devotion, and we thought it was really good. And we're going to close with this. It's called Godly Eyes. Do you want to lead it, Connie? Okay. We desire godly eyes. We want to see others as Christ sees them. We want to see others as beloved. We need to see their struggles. We need to see their pain. We need to see their heart. We want to stand amazed as we look upon love's new creation. We desire godly eyes. We need to observe the new creation. We need to see that others have a new heart beating. We need to recognize the reprogramming of their minds. We desire to share in God's joy. We want to stand amazed as we look upon love's new creation. We want godly eyes. We need a view of new life's becoming. We need to see God's reasons for hope. We need to notice, like God does, even minute changes in the lives of others so that I might encourage even the smallest spark of new life.
We want to stand amazed as we look upon love's new creation.
We want godly eyes. We need to see the old passing away. We need to notice the renewal of minds. We do not want to miss the hard-won changes, opening hearts to a deeper compassion. We need a chance to sing and dance our hallelujahs. We want to stand amazed as we look upon love's new creation. Amen. Okay, thank you. Do you want to do that mitzvah prayer? That's how we've ended for years, where we stand. We don't have to hold hands.
Yeah, just make sure you watch the chords here. It's not gonna be a circle, it's gonna be like a big oval, it looks like.
Okay, so I don't know it, and I've lost that paper, so someone else can start it.
I'll come around.